Thank you for tuning in to this edition of SBS TV. We hope you find it interesting. We will be focusing on one of our newer programs designed specifically for banks with portfolios of substantial owned real estate and non-performing assets. Before we get started though, let me introduce myself. My name is Brian Klink and I'm President of Strategic Business Solutions. I spent almost 20 years in the corporate world in financial services, holding a variety of management positions in product development, market research, and corporate planning at companies such as First Federal of Chicago starting in the early 80s, which became Citicorp of Illinois, the Marine Bank here in Wisconsin, which became Bank One Wisconsin and is now Chase, the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, Northwestern Mutual Life, and Fiserv. Since we're talking about owned real estate, you can see where market analysis that's fact-based could be beneficial. At Strategic Business Solutions, we focus and specialize in this area. Fact-based market analysis is often the foundation from which successful business plans and planning is conducted. We found that by using mapping, looking at similar markets and best practices, assembling key data and databases allows us to do segmentation and modeling that has a proven track record of success. There are three kinds of market analysis: specific use site feasibility studies, and this is an analysis for clients trying to decide whether a specific type of business will be successful at a specific location. A basic question might be, should I put a C-store, motel, or restaurant on my site? And will it cash flow? Our feasibility studies have been used throughout the state to help customers make the right business decision and bankers make the right underwriting decisions. The second is a little more complex, and that's a single or multi-site best use analysis. This is for clients trying to decide what type of business are most likely to be successful at their location or locations and who they should contact in order to get the project moving. So some baseline questions would be, what should I put on my site? Or who should be occupying my vacant commercial space or under-occupied property to lease? Finally, we have a municipal market analysis program for municipalities and economic development folks looking to grow their economies. Many banks are involved with chambers of commerce or economic development councils, and we hope if you're actually involved with this type of decision making that you'd keep Strategic Business Solutions in mind. Now, why are we here today? Well, we found that Wisconsin banks and savings banks have assembled or accumulated a large portfolio of both owned real estate and have non-performing assets or loans that are likely to have a component that moves into the owned real estate category over the next few years. It's these community banks that we believe our skill set in market segmentation and planning can be of greatest benefit. As we started to look through the Highline financial call reports from September 30th of this year, we could see that there are a number of banks that had between $5 and $20 million in other real estate owned, as well as varying levels of non-performing assets, of which there might be loans that migrate into the owned real estate classification over the next several years. Now, we are not looking to provide answers for all of your own real estate opportunities, but believe our approach can be helpful in selling or leasing key properties by identifying who should be looking at them based on potential. What we're looking for is the key opportunities within your real estate owned that you believe has the greatest unrealized potential or poses the highest risk to your bank. Do you have land that you believe should be the location for a particular business? Or do you have income producing property, either office space or retail, that should have a higher level of occupancy? If those are questions that you have, we believe we can help. To make this come alive, we've prepared an example of a business that has been impacted by the economy and the entry of a powerhouse competitor. Using a best used approach to look at clean slate opportunities, the prospects for selling, leasing, or completely redeveloping the real estate are uncovered. For our example, let's create a business scenario where a client currently operates a multi-revenue stream business. Let's say they had fuel, convenience store, a repair, auto and truck, and possibly a quick lube that had been impacted by the entry of a new powerhouse competitor such as Quick Trip. Well, the resulting loss of business in the C-store and fuel revenue streams might be a catalyst for exploring other business opportunities for the property, as it's unlikely that their ability to compete head-to-head in the future would be successful. Let's also assume that the property was located along an interstate interchange along the Highway 41 corridor between Milwaukee and Green Bay. We use this example to illustrate one of the strengths that Strategic Business Solutions brings to the table. Not only have we looked at all of the major markets and many of the smaller communities within Wisconsin, we've segmented all of the nearly 400 interstate interchanges in Wisconsin into three categories: hub, core, and undeveloped. Because about 70% of all businesses are located within 3 to 5 miles of an interstate interchange, we found that this provides additional insight into market analytics. Using our proprietary methodology, we can identify what are underserved and overserved industries by almost any location by NAICS codes or industry codes. This allows us to compare markets based on where there are potential new business opportunities as well as there are opportunities that have been oversaturated. When we looked at this particular interchange, what we saw was at similar interchanges there were two classifications that are underserved: restaurant and hospitality. Now that we've identified underserved business sectors, we could focus on specific gaps in the market. Our analysis reviewed 161 leading restaurant brands looking for the absolute best opportunities for this specific location. We found 10 brands that fill the local market gap and have shown success at similar locations. Now that we've identified some target franchises, the next step is to validate the quality of the information and prioritize the franchises and build our market knowledge so that we can contact them to achieve our final goal: to sell or lease the property. For each of the targeted brands, we look and see where they currently have operating franchises in Wisconsin using our map, and we build a corporate profile that shows where they're headquartered, the number of company units, and cash investment required to open. In addition, we take a look at local owners And we found that local franchise contact information, regardless of the underserved segment, is often of greater value than the corporate profile. For in many companies, it is the opportunities identified by local and regional owners and managers that gains corporate interest and involvement. We then continue through the other 9 target franchises to validate the gaps and build both corporate profiles and local contacts for occupying the properties. As you can see, the analysis also provides the story for generating interest in a property once contacts are initiated. This step-by-step approach of looking at the overall market, identifying underserved industry sectors and specific franchises is key, especially in today's limited growth environment. Finally, we reviewed the investments required to open one of the targeted franchises to see if it was within the financial capabilities of the client. 5 franchises were viable for the client to develop. Cold Stone Creamery, Dunkin' Donuts, Five Guys, Panera Bread, Noodles & Company were all franchises that the client had the financial capacity to open. 3 were beyond the client's capital capacity, but worthy of pursuit should either corporate or local franchise owners have an interest in purchasing the property or leasing the ground. And finally, 2 franchises, Cracker Barrel and Olive Garden, only have corporate-owned stores and would have to be pursued using a different approach. We follow the same methodology for the other underserved business sector, hospitality, identifying brands with the most Wisconsin locations that had no location in our target market, then validating the market gap and creating both corporate profiles and local contact data sets for the franchises here in Wisconsin. Clearly, we are now more properly equipped to approach multiple companies with the facts and why their business should be located on this specific property. We also took a look at where they had the investment capacity to either own or operate a hospitality location, or which ones were more likely to be sold or leased to corporate. What we found was that Comfort Inn, America's Best, Baymont Inn, and Econo Lodge were options should the client decide they wanted to own and or operate the hospitality location. Best Western, Days Inn, Country Inn, Hampton Inn, and Microtel were beyond their investment capacity or only operated corporate stores. By now you can see how, following our methodology of identifying underserved business sectors, top brands, and ranking and prioritizing them based on how they fit into the market and the financial capacity of the client, increases the likelihood of development. As your bank looks to re-energize your local economy and you invest or interact with developers, economic development staff, and administrators of TIF or other special funding, we hope you keep strategic business solutions in mind. Using fact-based analysis as a catalyst for development or occupancy of properties is of greater importance today than ever before. With limited capital, tight credit underwriting, and regulator constraints, having clarity and documentation of why a business should be located or fits in a particular market is vital for moving projects forward. We believe our approach is unparalleled for identifying specific market gaps and best use prospects. So maybe take a minute and consider properties in your portfolio or market that might benefit most from our service. Thank you, and have a great day.